first time I saw her run, I said, whoa, this girl is rolling.
She was probably the best runner in the state, and she was a hopeful for the Olympics.
Shelly had left to go to a party in Center City and never returned home.
Flyers are going up. People were knocking on doors.
He found what appeared to be the remains of a human being.
People are shocked. This is not the outcome that they wanted.
Well, I'm hearing rumors of her mom being jealous, not being a good person at all.
She was sobbing periodically, but never did I see an actual tear.
It's just mind-boggling.
It's 1993 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the city of brotherly love.
Philly was alive with energy. It was, it's the early 90s, so hip-hop is at an all-time high. It's a new art form. Everybody's, the fashion, Philly high schools, we're just like one big hip-hop video. In West Philly, you would have saw sweatsuits and colors and hoodies and fly sneakers and jewelry and leather jackets. You would have got all of that flavor.
On the evening of Tuesday, January 19th, police in West Philadelphia get a call from a concerned mother. Vivian King reports that her 17-year-old daughter, Shelly, is missing.
Her daughter had told her that she was leaving on Sunday night, the 17th, to go to a party.
Vivian had hoped that she had stayed overnight with a girlfriend. Shelly stayed out and stayed at girlfriends' houses frequently.
But now, her daughter has been gone for nearly 48 hours.
The last that this mother knew, her daughter was going to a party with friends. So what happened to Shelly? Why did she disappear?
Born on March 15, 1975, Shelly grew up in a quiet neighborhood in West Philadelphia.
Shelly lived on Edgewood Street, a working-class black neighborhood, and it was a very typical neighborhood.
Her stepfather was Clarence Jones, and her mother was Vivian King. Shelly's last name was Turner, but she did not know her father.
Shelly lived with her mother, her stepfather, who was also the biological father of her younger sister.
He had raised Shelly from when Shelly was like 6 months old. He had been in the picture all of those years. Vivian King was a nurse's aide. She helped Clarence Jones with his newspaper route. He delivered papers to a warehouse, and including the Sunday paper.
Shelly Turner was really a precocious kind of kid in that she had unbelievable talent.
She had been a runner from the time she was 7 years old. Shelly ran everywhere. She ran to the grocery stores, she ran in the neighborhood.
By the age of 10, Shelly was competing.
Shelly was one of those kids where every track meet, she's walking away like this with 4 trophies.
Her sophomore year in high school, Shelly transferred from Overbrook to William Penn High School to run for legendary coach Tim Hickey.
William Penn's track team was known nationally because of the quality of the girls there. Coach Hickey devoted his life to helping these girls.
William Penn did not have a track of its own, so the girls used to run on the streets. And that's how they became so good, because they were running on concrete.
They ran on the sidewalk, so he had markers out there for 200 meters, 400 meters. This man was brilliant. She adored Mr. Hickey.
Over the next 2 years, Shelly thrived.
She was a senior who had big things ahead for her. Big things. She was running very well.
She was probably the best runner in the state and probably one of the best in the country. And she was hoping to go to college. A couple of schools had already offered her scholarships. And she was hopeful for the Olympics.
She was very humble about it. She was very laid back with it. Like Shelly Turner would tear your head off on a track, but just as well go and just sit back and laugh with you and kick back. She wasn't boastful. She wasn't arrogant or conceited.
Vivian proudly displayed the proof of her daughter's success.
It was like a museum. You know, you walk in Shelly Turner's living room and there are medals, there are trophies, plaques. It was the first thing you noticed when you walked in. It was just wasn't room for anything else. And I told her, I said, if you win one more thing, it's gonna have to go on the porch.
Shelly was a rising star, but that didn't keep her from helping around the house.
Her mother was strict, and she had a lot of responsibility.
She spent her almost entire time either with the track program, school, or at home babysitting her younger sister. She did have her girlfriends, but they were also mostly all track people too.
When you spend so much time with your teammates, it's just like, that's just what it is. You have other friends, you have outside interests, but we ran track. We didn't just participate. We lived it, we breathed it. You know, it was a part of everything we did.
Shelly was driven, responsible, and always where she was supposed to be. Until Vivian reports her missing on the evening of January 19th, 1993. An officer from Philadelphia's 19th District arrives at Vivian's home.
The officer was told by Vivian that her daughter, Shelly, had left on Sunday night to go to a party in Center City and never returned home.
Vivian said that she stayed awake and that Shelly didn't get home and that she eventually went to sleep. And the next morning, Shelly still wasn't there, but Vivian had hoped that she had stayed overnight with a girlfriend.
Shelly had a track meet that she was to be at on Monday on Martin Luther King Day, even though there was no school that day. And she was the captain of the team, and she was a very pivotal part of the team.
Vivian tried to find out if Shelly showed up for the meet.
Vivian King called Mr. Hickey, and he did not return the phone call. So the next morning, which would have been Tuesday morning, Vivian King called the school and asked to speak with Shelly's first period teacher and found out that Shelly had not reported to school that day. Vivian then asked to speak with Mr. Hickey. The teacher went and got Mr. Hickey and brought him to the phone. And Vivian found out that Shelly was the only one that had not come to the meet.
She was the captain of the team. For her to not show up for the track meet indicated that there probably was a severe problem.
Vivian's next phone call was to police.
Anything could have happened to Shelly, from being abducted, being attacked, or just basically maybe stopping at another friend's house and spending the night.
The officer gathers more details.
The JAD officers would have asked what clothing she had been wearing. They would have gotten the names of some of her friends.
Shelly had a purple tracksuit on, purple sneakers.
That information was then passed on to the Juvenile Aid Division people and to the West Detective Division.
The search for Shelly Turner is on.
The entire division, police division and detective division, were made aware of the fact that she was missing.
On Tuesday, January 19th, 1993, investigators with Philadelphia's Juvenile Aid Division begin their search for Shelly Turner. The 17-year-old hasn't been seen since Sunday.
Shelly had told her mother that she was going to be going to a party that night.
It was like a citywide kind of fun thing where whenever there's no school on a Monday, the promoters would promote to us, and we were all in. You know, we liked to dance. William Penn was a dancing track team.
Investigators speak with Shelly's friend Andrea, who lives across the street. She reveals that Shelly didn't go to the party.
She had actually gone to visit a new boyfriend in North Philadelphia.
Shelly had kept her budding romance with fellow student Sean Williams from her mother.
Shelly had no intention of going to this party. Andrea was the only person who knew that Shelly was gonna hang out with Sean, her new boyfriend.
Before Shelly left on the bus for Sean's house, Andrea gave her some last-minute fashion advice.
Her friend said, well, your outfit isn't nice enough with what you're wearing. Wear this jacket with it.
Shelly's wearing a purple tracksuit and a black leather jacket. So that was what they were searching for when they were looking for Shelly.
For detectives, locating Sean Williams is their top priority.
He had transferred in. He was a new student at William Penn. They did talk with him immediately. They got his address through the school.
A couple of detectives came to my house to question me.
Sean tells detectives he met Shelly after transferring to Penn at the beginning of the school year.
My best friend, she kind of brought me into the fold with a lot of the groups and at William Penn, and Shelly was part of the track team. I'm seeing her in the gym, I'm seeing her smile. I think she got cute for me that day. She was definitely a pretty girl. After maybe talking on the phone a time or two, now I feel more comfortable kicking it with her.
So, a few days earlier, Sean invited Shelly to his house for Sunday dinner.
My mom fixed dinner every Sunday. She fixed a nice meal. We enjoyed dinner. We laughed. Our family laughs. Just did our Sunday thing. My mom loved her. So after dinner, we go up to the room. We chilling. We talking, listening to music. We having a good time. We just hanging out for a few hours. My mom's in the place, so we're being good. And I guess time got by us for a while. And now it's late.
At approximately 2 in the morning, Shelly had to go home, and he walked Shelly to the bus stop.
I wanted to make sure that she got home safely. The bus took about 20 minutes to come because it's Sunday night. I wanted to give her a kiss. And she was like, no, I don't kiss in public. In that time, the bus driver had to pause a moment to look at us.
Sean tells them Shelly got on.
From that information, they were able to track down the actual bus driver.
He does remember that Shelly went all the way to the last stop and that Shelly gets off on 60th and Girard.
The fact that the bus driver knew that she had gotten off the bus cleared the boyfriend from any involvement.
Now the question is, what happened to Shelly when she got off the bus?
The bus led her off 6 blocks from her home.
Did she get home? Did she not get home?
Life goes on. Track practices every day after school. Homework is due. College applications are due. But my friend is missing. And the world goes on. Teachers are not stopping. The city's not stopping. I've talked to people even now, present day, who said, Mister, that was a very scary time for Black girls in Philly because we did not know what happened to her. So now we're getting off trolleys. Now we're taking our earrings off. Everybody's guard was up, not just William Penn, not just Overbrook students, but this is a citywide thing now where one of the most popular girls in the city is missing. Imagine what that did to the anxiety levels of Black girls.
In Philadelphia, investigators have traced 17-year-old Shelly Turner's last known whereabouts to a bus stop 6 blocks from her home.
It was very late. Shelly was a young woman out by herself. It was a kind of rough neighborhood because there were a lot of alleyways and there were a lot of vacant houses.
Anything could have happened to Shelly from the time she got off the bus to the time she would have been able to reach her front door.
Police scour every inch between the bus stop and Shelly's home.
They searched the vacant houses, they searched the alleys looking for her. And they would have checked stores, checked neighbors.
Meanwhile, investigators interview Shelly's coach, Tim Hickey. He's deeply troubled over the disappearance of his protege.
Coach Hickey had known her for so many years and was, had such a deep knowledge of all the girls that he had on his track team.
She would talk to him and tell him things that perhaps she didn't tell anyone else. So there was a bond there. There was a trust.
Coach Hickey reveals that Shelly's relationship with Vivian was troubled.
It was not the greatest situation in her house. That there was an amount of conflict between Shelly and Vivian. Shelly had to bring her sister to practices and some of the meets that she had to go to because Vivian had made Shelly be a primary babysitter.
She was not seeing eye to eye with her mother regarding, her expectations, her curfews, and the things that she wanted in her household.
Coach Hickey reports that Shelly hadn't shown up the morning of the track meet.
Shelly was the only one that was not there. So Mr. Hickey, her coach, went to the house looking for Shelly to take with him along with the rest of the team on the van.
Shelly's little sister answered the door. Coach Hickey never saw Vivian, but she called out from upstairs.
Vivian informed him that Shelly had not come home the night before.
Vivian said, "She's not here. Check with Kwanda." Kwanda is Shelly's friend who was also on the team with her.
But Coach Hickey tells the investigators that Kwanda didn't know where Shelly was either. Detectives find it odd that Vivian knew Shelly hadn't shown up at the track meet the morning after she went missing. Not 2 days later, like she told police.
I think it would have been imperative that any caring parent would have notified the police immediately to begin an investigation to try to locate the child.
There is a question as to why Vivian waited so long. What was the reason for that?
As investigators continue to search for the missing teen, they get a phone call from Shelly's friend, Andrea.
Her girlfriend's, the one whose jacket it was, saw Clarence Jones wearing that jacket later and didn't understand how he would have gotten that jacket if Shelly never got home.
The fact would be that if the jacket was subsequently seen several days later, it meant that Shelly had come back to the house with that jacket. That directed our attention more to Clarence at that point in time as being possibly involved in what had happened with Shelly.
Detectives bring in Clarence for questioning.
Clarence explained that he just picked up a jacket that he saw in the living room. He didn't know whose it was. He just saw this jacket and he put it on.
Clarence is very adamant about the fact that he just grabbed the first jacket that he saw and that there were other jackets, black jackets, in the home.
Clarence says that on the night Shelly went missing, he got up at 2:30 a.m. to get ready for work.
And Shelly still wasn't home. And he kept asking, where's Shelly? Where's Shelly? And Vivian didn't know.
He delivered newspapers in the mornings. He would be gone from approximately 3 a.m. until he was finished his paper route.
Clarence's employer verifies his alibi.
Because of the timeline, it would not be possible for Clarence to have been home if Shelly did, in fact, go back to her house the night that she went missing.
The search of the 6 blocks between Shelly's house and the bus stop is also a dead end.
They have no leads. The Philadelphia department has 0.
It became an everyday focus of the media here in Philadelphia of what happened to Shelly, where is Shelly?
Now flyers are going up. They're hanging them on telephone poles. There were marches, people were walking, they were looking, they were knocking on doors.
This particular community came together and raised $6,000. This neighborhood is not a neighborhood of affluence, you know, there's not a lot of money going around. But people were very invested. They wanted to find Shelly. Days turns into weeks, and now people are becoming desperate. And people want answers. People want Shelly to be alive. They want to find her alive.
It's February 1993. Shelly Turner has been missing for 4 weeks. Speculation runs wild through her West Philadelphia neighborhood.
She might have been grabbed. She might have been held captive. She might have been killed. She might have run away.
The city, especially the West Detective Division and the uniformed districts in West Philadelphia, were in a constant search for Shelly.
As the community continues to look for the 17-year-old track star, taking center stage is her mother, Vivian.
She's a local celebrity. People hear her on the radio, they read about her in the newspaper, they've seen her on TV.
There were marches led by Miss King, and she was very much in the news media, presenting herself to them as a grieving mother.
Behind closed doors, Vivian is less optimistic.
I started going to Vivian King's house, of course, with my teammates, but after a while, like as the days go on, as the weeks go on, the crowds get smaller. The visits are fewer. So there were times I went by myself. She would say, we're never gonna see Shay again. She said, mister, this is bad. I said, don't say that. You know, as a 17-year-old, I'm like, no. We're gonna work this out. She said, I feel it in my gut. We ain't never gonna see her again. She was very negative about ever seeing her daughter again. And of course, that made me very sad. That made me very upset.
On February 20th, 33 days after Shelly went missing, the case takes a grim turn.
A man was out walking his dog in the Fairmount Park area of Philadelphia near the Mann Music Center.
You're talking about a huge open area with trees. That area is very well populated in the summer, but not so much in the winter.
The dog was acting strange and pulled the man into an area where there were some trees, a wooded area.
The dog guides him toward a blue tarp, streaked with what appears to be dried blood.
When the man went to investigate, he found what appeared to be the remains of a human being.
Within minutes, the park is swarming with law enforcement. They see what appears to be the body of a young female.
Her body was frozen because it was a very, very cold period of time here in Philadelphia. The type of sweatshirt she had on was an inside out. It was on inside out. The pants she had were somewhat of track kind of clothing. Also, there were no footwear. To us, it appeared to us that, she had dressed very, very quickly to leave wherever she had been prior to being there in the park. It was recognized that it very possibly could be the body of Shelley Turner.
While the cause of death isn't clear, wounds to the victim's face and head indicate foul play.
There was indications of blunt force trauma. The way that her hands were found with her body being frozen, her hand was up in front of her face as if she were trying to ward off the attack.
Investigators do not locate any other evidence.
So at that point, they didn't have any conclusive answers.
The next day, Vivian comes to the morgue.
Her body did not deteriorate because of the cold, because she was frozen.
Vivian is shown 5 pictures. They're Polaroids. So based off those 5 pictures, Vivian does in fact identify Shelley Turner as the young woman that they found in Fairmount Park.
The medical examiner determines a cause of death.
Shelley was hit in the head with an object, and then she was shot 6 times.
She has some shots through her chest, through her head, and through her left hand.
Now it's a homicide. And we would start back at the very beginning and re-interview everyone.
The day after she IDs her daughter's body, homicide detectives meet with Vivian at her home.
She was very adamant that we should look into Sean because she related to us that night that she believed Sean lied to her.
Vivian tells detectives she called Sean after Shelley disappeared.
According to her, Sean had made a sausage sandwich for Shelley while she was there, and Vivian inquired whether it was pork or beef, and according to Sean initially, it was a pork sandwich. And then when she questioned him more about the kind of sandwich, he eventually said, oh, perhaps it might have been a beef sandwich. And she felt that was extremely important because, according to Vivian, Shelley was allergic to pork. And when we left the house, that was going to be our next step. We knew that Sean was going to be someone that we wanted to speak to.
This goes from a missing juvenile case to now a homicide. It was heartbreaking for this to be the end. After all the searching, after all the posters, track teams from everywhere, going out there trying to find Shelley Turner. People are shocked by this information. People are mourning. The whole community, the whole city is invested. They've been searching for her.
After learning that her daughter's missing persons case has just been declared a homicide, Vivian King encourages police to look again at her daughter's suitor, Sean Williams.
We went to his residence, and then we asked Sean if he would come with us to homicide to give a formal statement, and he agreed to do that.
I'm a 17-year-old kid at this time, so I'm not thinking about if you're trying to ask me questions to trick me up or anything like that. I have no sense of that at all. Like, I'm just answering your questions as honestly as I possibly can. And I just wanted to help.
He also agreed to be polygraphed.
I didn't have anything to hide. I wasn't scared.
The person conducting the test informed us that there was no deception indicated. by Sean, and that it was the operator's belief that he was telling the truth, that Shelley had gotten on the bus that evening when she disappeared and was last seen by Sean at that point in time. It was not Sean. Sean had no hand in whatsoever what had happened to Shelley.
Shelley's funeral takes place on February 27th. Over 1,200 people turn out.
It was with teenagers everywhere, just bawling their eyes out, just losing it. It was a mess. It was probably one of the worst days of our young lives. There was very little emotion with Vivian King. You know, maybe a tear trickled, maybe. We were like overwhelmed with grief, and this woman was sitting there with a tight jaw and a tight face. Nobody hugged Vivian King. Nobody talked to her.
Well, I'm hearing rumors of her mom being jealous. They don't get along. I'm hearing, just rumors of her mom just not being a good person at all.
The whispers and stares don't go unnoticed.
About a week and a half after Shelley's body had been discovered, Vivian called. She was hearing rumors, and she wanted to know how she could dispel those rumors. We went over everything again, everything that had transpired from the day that Shelley was last seen. And she related to us how she had cooked dinner, and she right away said she made pork chops, peas, and potatoes, mashed potatoes. Vivian obviously did not remember that she had told us that Shelley had been allergic to pork. Vivian herself was lying. She was trying to direct us towards Sean.
But why? Unaware she was just caught in a lie, Vivian continues her quest to clear her name.
She had mentioned that she had been told that she could take a lie detector test. Vivian, at that point in time, was very adamant she wanted to take that because she believed that she could then tell people she took a polygraph test and passed the test and had nothing to do with what had happened to Shelley.
Results were she had flunked.
We informed her that there was deception indicated, that she was not telling the truth. Vivian started telling us at that point that there were things she just didn't remember. Bits and pieces would come back to her, but she was telling us she just had trouble remembering everything from that night.
Detectives questioned Vivian for hours.
We quietly reviewed with her the problems with her story. The pork chop, Shelley being allergic to that. Also the fact that the black jacket was seen being worn by Clarence days after Shelley had supposedly left and never returned to the house. Vivian, was actually recognizing that the lies that she had told and that none of them were going to hold up. And at that point, she basically was willing to say what had happened.
Vivian tells police that on Sunday, January 17th, she had been out with friends.
She had consumed quite a bit of liquor, and she was also telling us how she had a problem with liquor. When she came home that evening, she found that Shelley had left to go to the party.
Shelley's 1 a.m. curfew came and went.
Vivian waited up for a long period of time and was getting angrier and angrier.
Shelley got into the house about 2:30, having walked from the bus stop. When she got home, her mother and she got into an argument about what time she had come in, and they got into a fight.
And they start kind of tussling back and forth.
Vivian then went upstairs and got her own gun from under her mattress and went downstairs and then confronted Shelley again.
Vivian says that she hit Shelley in the head with the gun and then tells Shelley, "You can't live here anymore. You're not following my rules."
her mother said, I'm going to take you to the police station and they're going to put you in a home for bad girls. So she made her get into the car.
The arguing continued.
Vivian claims that she got so angry that she did not go to the police station. She was gonna go fight Shelly.
She then drove into the park. She drove some distance across the grass, according to her, stopped near some trees.
Vivian King made Shelly get out of the car in the park. And they said, okay, we're going to fight here. And they actually got into a fist fight.
Shelly had picked up a bottle from the ground, and when she did, Vivian then hit Shelly on the side of the head again with the gun.
Shelly fell to the ground, stunned by the blow.
And while she was laying on the ground, Vivian fired her gun.
Vivian took her gun and shot Shelly 6 times, killing her. She then left her under a tarp that was in the park and some weeds and things, and then went home.
She put her gun back under her mattress and went to sleep.
She says she wakes up the next morning and feels like she just had a bad nightmare.
She had a look of resignation on her face. She was sobbing periodically, but never did I see an actual tear.
Vivian King is arrested and charged with Shelly's murder.
When the news broke that she confessed, of course, that like rocked everybody's world. Now all I see is pure evil.
But just days later, at her arraignment, Vivian pleads not guilty.
She says the confession was coerced.
After confessing to shooting her 17-year-old daughter to death in a park, Vivian King now claims her confession was coerced. She sticks by her innocence until October 20th, 1993, when her trial begins.
I'm arguing for first-degree murder, for life as the penalty. I really thought 6 shots was enough for murder 1.
The case hinges on Vivian's confession, a confession she now claims isn't true.
They had no evidence. They had nothing to tie her to it. They didn't have the gun, and they had nothing to convict her except for the confession.
Prosecutors call multiple witnesses who attest to Vivian's well-known temper.
She liked to drink. That was her sport. She liked to go to bars. She liked to fraternize in bars.
When she did drink, she knew that she got angry, and most of her anger was always directed at Shelly.
Shelly was a star. Shelly shined on that track.
She was very jealous of Shelly.
Coach Hickey testifies that Shelly was one of the best runners in the country, in spite of her mother.
She was one of the few parents, I think, who did not go to the meets.
Prosecutors present Vivian's confession as proof of what happened when tension between mother and daughter came to a head.
It was so horrifyingly specific that you're not going to come to the great detail of that kind of confession unless you really did it.
Vivian takes the stand.
Her defense is, I didn't say this willingly. I was coerced into this confession.
Vivian claims the only part of the confession that's true is that she was drunk.
In total, Vivian has had about 88 ounces of liquor over the course of those hours. That's about 11 cups.
Her attorneys argue that Shelley probably fell victim to a random act of violence.
There was conversation about this possibly being a robbery. She did not have her shoes. She did not have a Walkman that Andrea, her friend from across the street, had loaned her. She was missing an earring.
The jury deliberates for 6 hours.
Ultimately, the jury found her guilty of third-degree murder.
It's very hard for a jury to believe that a mother who has raised a daughter 17 years intends to kill her, even with 6 shots to the head and the body. It's just hard. It's easier for them to think, okay, she was drunk, but she didn't really intend for her to die.
It's just mind-boggling to think that a mother could stand over her daughter and shoot her, but we believed the confession.
Vivian is sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison. She's released after 11 years.
What happened with Shelley, I believe, that time of my life, it stunted my growth. I'm still mourning.
She was a real person who had real dreams. Her story deserves to be told. I think her legacy deserves to be heard.
And plays with your conscience. You might just completely lose yourself and suffer consequences you never imagined possible. January 29th, 2014. It's just past midnight in the historic city of Boston.
Boston, it's a beautiful city that's very diverse, and there's a very strong culture here.
It's a great city to get your life started. Lots of opportunities to do just about anything you'd like here.
But the city has also been suffering from an influx of gang violence.
Police were really trying to crack down on violent gang members throughout the city and get them off the street.
Over on the south side of town, 2 officers are surveilling the home of a well-known gang member, Bo Butler.
Bo was known for being really dangerous.
Bo's lifestyle has been a life of crime.
The officers spot Bo and a young African-American female exit the home and get into Bo's vehicle.
The plan was to simply follow them to see where they were going.
The officers pull out discreetly and trail the sedan. Once they get out to the main road, Bo's vehicle suddenly climbs to a high rate of speed.
The suspect accelerated to a dangerous speed, and the officers had no choice but to end their surveillance.
The officer turns on his lights and immediately starts chasing the car.
With the police cruiser hot on his trail, Bo begins to slow down and pulls over without incident. But as the officers prepare to approach Bo's vehicle, they know they must use extreme caution.
Car stop is the most dangerous thing a police officer can do.
When you're an officer, your life is at risk at all times, but now you have a known gang member with a history of utilizing weapons.
In their approach, officers notice an excess of movement inside the vehicle.
Bo is moving around, fidgeting, making gestures as if he's trying to conceal something.
The officers can't quite tell what's going on in the front seat between the 2 occupants.
As the officers make their way to the front of the sedan, that's when they see the gun.
They can see the female passenger has a bulge under her shirt.
The officers draw their firearms and tell Bo and the female to get out of the car with their hands up.
The female passenger and Bo exchange a look.
Police didn't know what was going to happen next.
In 2013, 19-year-old Boston native Jamila Tresvant had big dreams and a bright future.
Jamila was a really lovely young woman. People were naturally drawn to her. Everyone loved her.
She had a beautiful smile and had lots of friends.
Jamila was working as a waitress at a local restaurant to save up for dental school.
I wanted to be a dentist because I liked going to the dentist. I used to ask them all types of questions.
She has a lot of drive. She's determined.
She had good intentions when it came to herself and her future goals.
In the spring of that year, Jamila was working overtime to make her dreams a reality. And that's when she met someone who would change her life forever. 23-year-old Beau Butler.
Beau and Jamila had a really strong connection from the moment they started to interact.
I was attracted to him. He was handsome. He had like these pretty nice brown eyes. He was really a sweetheart.
Though Jamila had never met Beau before, she immediately recognized his name.
Beau was well known in the streets. He had known gang ties and affiliations. When Jamila met him, he had recently gotten out of jail.
Jamila wasn't turned off by Beau's reputation. If anything, she was intrigued.
She liked the bad boy thing. This guy, is tough.
People always told me about his reputation, but he had manners. He was a gentleman.
When Beau asked Jamila if he could see her again after she got off work, she couldn't resist.
Jamila gave Beau her number, and they agreed to meet up after her shift.
Later that evening, the two clicked on every level and found each other irresistible.
They had like a magnetic chemistry. Although she was completely aware of his rap sheet, being in a gang and being the violent person that he was, none of that seemed to faze her or change her mind about being with him.
There was so much draw for her with Beau. He was charismatic and charming and alluring, and that kind of drew her into his world.
The bond was so quick. I think I was just so into him, I just rolled with the punches. We had like a lot of fun together.
Just a couple weeks after meeting, the two began sharing an apartment.
He would like run up to me and start kissing all over me. It was cute.
He showered her with love and affection. This was true love, and this was the person that she would spend the rest of her life with.
Even though he had this bad reputation, he was really a good person. He had a real genuine heart.
But soon, Jamila would see a new side of Beau and learn how dangerous her man really was.
She had no idea what she was in for.
January 29th, 2014. In their efforts to crack down on local gang violence, Boston police have found themselves toe-to-toe with Beau Butler and a female companion.
The female seemed to have a bulge in her shirt, and police were worried it was a weapon.
Officers command the occupants to get out of the vehicle.
At this time, police don't know if they're going to comply or not, so the tension is high.
Beau was well known to be quite aggressive and rough around the edges.
Fortunately, the duo complies with police and exits the vehicle without incident. Officers learn that the female is Beau's girlfriend, Jamila Tresvant.
She was clearly terrified.
I was nervous when that officer came to do a pat first.
The officer recovers a .22 Magnum revolver and also some rounds of ammunition.
Officers don't find any additional weaponry on Beau, but they aren't so sure the gun found on Jamila really belongs to her.
They tell me, we know that's not your gun. They said, we know whose gun it is.
Beau is the one that's a known gang member and has a history of carrying guns.
They said, tell us whose gun this is, and we're gonna just take that person whose gun it is to jail.
But Jamila's answer surprises them.
I told them that it was my gun.
It was clear that she was trying to protect Beau, but the police didn't have a choice.
They had to take her into custody and let Bo go free.
Bo said to me before I got in the car that he loved me. He said, "I love you."
Little did police know, this was just the surface of a Pandora's box of dirty deeds Jamila's man had pushed her into.
They say your girlfriend is supposed to represent you or whatever. So I feel like he was kind of trying to give me that kind of image.
"19-year-old Jamila Tresvant was head over heels for 23-year-old Bo Butler.
From day one, Jamila knew that she wanted to be his woman. Their chemistry was truly magnetic and really powerful.
Even though Bo was known around town for his gang ties, Jamila saw past his tough exterior.
I was just so in love with this man. He made me feel like a woman.
She sees a side of him that all of those other people don't see. You know, they see the criminal, they see the dangerous person, they see the guy that's always armed. But to her, he's really sweet and gentle.
Jamila had never been with anyone like Bo before, and she was all in.
Opposites attract. Meeting someone like Bo, who runs around with a gun, speeds, just breaks the law, maybe it's kind of exciting for her.
Bo has this extreme hold over her, and she's just very much in love with him.
But what Jamila didn't yet realize is that her love for Bo would soon put her on a destructive path and test her own morality.
For her, there's this internal battle taking place where she's trying to figure out, how can I change him and prove my love to him at the same time?
She just knew in that moment that, if I love him, this is what I was going to have to do.
January 29th, 2014, South Boston. Police have just taken Jamila Tresvant into custody for unlawful possession of a firearm.
She says it's her gun.
It's an admission of guilt, and in Massachusetts, it's illegal to possess a firearm without a license or a permit. It's a felony offense.
Officers suspect Jamila is taking the fall for her boyfriend, Bo Butler.
They said they knew, but that wasn't my gun.
The police were aware of Bo. He had a history of having guns on his person.
They had already been surveilling him as part of their crackdown on local gangs.
But with Jamila taking full ownership of the weapon, police have no choice but to let Bo off easy.
Since they didn't have anything on Bo, he was free to go with a minor traffic citation.
After being filled in by the arresting officers, detectives begin looking into Jamila's case. What they discover bolsters the officers' theory that Jamila is trying to protect Bo.
She didn't have a violent history, so it seemed odd that the gun would be hers.
In this case, it sounds like a model young teenager who has a bright future ahead of them.
This is a girl that was going to be educated as a dentist.
Detectives sit down to interrogate Jamila and get right to the point. They tell her they believe the gun was in Bo's possession at the time police pulled them over.
The officers had witnessed Bo in the front seat moving frantically and acting as though he was trying to hide something.
Bo had been in trouble with the law before and was currently on probation for assaulting an officer.
Detectives believe Bo asked her to hide the gun for him, and she agreed.
If someone's gonna go down for the gun, who's gonna go down longest? I'm a girl. You're a guy. This would be a third strike. You're looking at 10 to 15.
This incident was her chance to prove that she was really ride or die, that she was in it, 100%.
Detectives encourage Jamila to tell the truth.
Detectives really hope that Jamila would cooperate with them. They let her know that she doesn't have to do this. They said, we might be able to help you out if you can help us with this.
That is so rare, where officers are actually on your side and they're giving you an out. They wanted her so badly to just say the gun was his.
But Jamila won't budge.
At the end of the day, she insisted that the gun was hers.
In that moment, her priority was protecting Bo and saving Bo. And so she decided, I will take the fall. I will accept these charges.
Jamila is charged with unlawful possession of a firearm.
I was so scared because I knew, like, I was going to go to jail. Like, I knew I wasn't coming home.
But soon, someone will come forward that will turn everything on its head and reveal the gun charge is only the beginning of the couple's transgressions.
Chemistry is just so strong that it's all about this one person, and I think that's what came over her.
You just don't do things like that for anybody. He did take control of my mind.
January 29th, 2014. Police have just charged 19-year-old Jamila Tresvant for unlawful firearm possession. They believe Jamila is covering for her boyfriend, well-known gang member, 23-year-old Bo Butler. But with Jamila claiming the gun as her own, they have no proof.
She's not cooperating. Detectives have no choice but to charge Jamila with the possession of a firearm.
In the weeks leading up to Jamila's sentencing hearing, police notice she's continuing to correspond with her man.
He wrote letters, gave her money to put on her commissary.
While Jamila is in jail, Bo is still being the charismatic person, giving her the assurance that everything's gonna be okay.
We still was in a relationship. We was still so in love.
As far as Jamila was concerned, Bo was standing by her side. Their love was still strong, and that dream that she had of this long-term relationship would continue.
She still believed that her and Bo were going to end up together one day, that they were going to get married, have a family, and everything was going to go right back to normal.
To detectives, it seems Jamila is in this for the long haul.
They couldn't help but feel bad for this young woman. She was throwing her future away, and their hands were tied.
She was facing a maximum of 2 years in prison for this.
But just days before Jamila's sentencing hearing, a woman comes forward who could change everything.
She said that she had some information for the detectives that would help Jamila's case.
The woman identifies herself as Alexis Smith, one of Jamila's best friends.
She formed the investigators. She didn't want to see her friend take the fall for something that she believed her friend didn't do.
Alexis says after weeks of contemplating her friend's arrest, she couldn't stay quiet any longer.
She felt like Jamila was making the biggest mistake of her life.
According to Alexis, Bo was extremely manipulative, especially when it came to Jamila.
She said she was never a fan of Bo. She always thought he was a bad influence and someone that would bring her friend down. But Jamila couldn't be deterred.
He was very good with words. He was very good with manipulating people.
Sometimes if you're in love or infatuated with somebody, you'll agree to do something that goes against what you believe just to prove to that person that you're there for them.
Alexis tells detectives that one night, Bo's influence over Jamila became especially apparent.
Her friends were gathering. They were going to be having a good time, having a party. They weren't drinking, and a lot of flirting was happening between Jamila and Bo.
But the lively evening took a turn for the worst when the host accidentally spilled her drink on Bo, and it infuriated him.
Bo felt disrespected by her.
I feel like he felt challenged. Bo can't tolerate nothing.
Everyone got quiet, not sure what would happen next. Bo was seething.
Bo had the attention of everyone's eye. Everyone on the street knows that Bo always carries a weapon.
He was dangerous. A lot of people were scared of him, but he didn't put his hands on women. So he's just like, go beat her up.
Alexis says at first, Jamila thought her man was joking.
That's not my personality. I don't start problems with people. I'm not an aggressor.
But Jamila soon realized Bo was serious. And Alexis watched in shock as her friend did the unthinkable.
I willingly submitted. I was just so in love with this man that I probably got to the point where I would do anything for him. So I whooped her ass.
She assaulted this girl in front of everyone.
Alexis just couldn't believe that it was actually happening, and she was terrified.
Beau's torment didn't end there. Alexis says she and the other partygoers were frozen as Beau instructed Jamila to help him grab the host's TV.
We didn't have a TV where we lived at. She had a nice TV. So then now Beau's like, come on, we're gonna take that TV right there. He's like, come on, help me move it. So now the girl's screaming, going crazy. But because of his status, she just knew not to touch him. She knew not to touch me. And we walked out with her TV.
Alexis states the party host never reported the assault or the theft. But after that, Alexis felt like she had lost Jamila.
The more isolated Jamila was with Beau, the more she forgot about who she was, her values.
Jamila was fully invested in this relationship. He was her sole priority.
Alexis explains that eventually, Jamila's education even took a backseat to her relationship with Beau. And that's when she and Jamila's mother decided to have an intervention.
She and Jamila's mom tried to convince her not to see him again.
She was becoming sidetracked. I told her, Jamila, what about dental school? Let's not forget about everything that you're planning for your life. You don't have to stay with him. It's seems dangerous. You could get hurt.
Her mother really wanted Jamila to just come home. She wanted her to step away from that relationship.
But the discussion was abruptly cut short when Beau showed up unannounced.
He walked in and told Jamila it was time to leave.
She ended up going with him. She just couldn't tell him no.
Jamila was so deep in that there was not much that they could say to change the situation.
I think little by little, she started to tune out the people in her life that really wanted to see the best for her.
I was disappointed. I had been talking the whole time to Jamila. She didn't listen. There's nothing I can do. We just have to sit back and wait and hope.
Alexis tells detectives that despite the pleas from her family and friends, Jamila's dedication to her man was only about to get worse.
He told her these guys were going to have to die.
She was willing to make certain sacrifices so that he knew that she was loyal and loved him.
In the fall of 2014, 19-year-old Jamila Tresvant sits in a jail cell, awaiting sentencing for a crime that police suspect she did not commit.
They actually charge her with this illegal possession of a firearm, and typical sentence for that would be a 2-year minimum mandatory.
Police believed that she was holding the gun for her boyfriend, Beau. But since Jamila was taking full responsibility, police had no proof.
Now detectives are speaking with Jamila's best friend, Alexis Smith, who claims she has information that could help Jamila get leniency from the judge.
Alexis says ever since Jamila started dating Beau, he had been trying to manipulate her into doing his dirty work for him.
It all started when he ordered Jamila into assaulting a woman at a party one night.
Beau felt like the party host disrespected him by spilling her drink on his clothes, and he ordered Jamila to punish the woman for what she'd done.
It wasn't even our personal beef. I didn't want to do that because that's not even my personality.
Alexis says she and Jamila's mother tried to have an intervention with Jamila to get her to end things with Beau, but Jamila couldn't be swayed.
I'm like, you should come home. You know what I mean? And she didn't want to. She was really into this relationship. I started realizing, okay, this is bad.
According to Alexis, things only got worse from there.
Alexis says that she and Jamila were hanging out at Jamila's place when Beau stormed in.
He was pacing back and forth and started going on and on about some guy that had pissed him off.
He said that boy's reputation is him being a rat, telling on somebody in a situation.
Alexis was terrified. And she says Jamila also seemed afraid.
Bo was a really scary guy, not somebody you wanted to be around when he was mad.
Bo was out for blood. He said he wanted to teach the guy a lesson. But Alexis tells detectives that what Bo said next made her heart sink.
He wanted to rob this particular person, and he wanted to enlist Jamila's help to accomplish that.
Alexis says she hoped that Jamila would make the right decision and refuse to help her man with another one of his schemes. She waited with bated breath as her friend began to mull things over.
I can imagine that being in that situation, Jamila is conflicted. So she wants to please her boyfriend, who she wants to have a future with, but she didn't have a prior criminal history. So her conscience maybe fell upon her.
I ain't never robbed nobody. That's not the type of person I am. It just wasn't me. I'm not like that. So that's not what I wanted to do.
She was uncomfortable with the idea.
Sensing Jamila's apprehension, Bo started laying it on thick.
The big part is, if you're going to be with me when I do dirt, we're going to do dirt together.
Bo said things like, I'm the only one that loves you. I'm always going to be there for you.
Some of the things, that he said to me, he was playing with my mind. That's how I feel. I just feel like he thought he could take control of my mind.
At some point, the charm turns into manipulation, asking a young woman to do something that she's not comfortable with, but having that expectation that she would do it anyway.
Alexis tells detectives she was horrified when she witnessed her friend reluctantly agree to Bo's robbery plan.
Jamila has allowed this person to become her only priority.
In her mind, she hears all the pet names and how much he loves her. So for her, it's important to go through with the plan.
That wasn't the right choice for me to do it, but I was just so in love.
She never wanted to disappoint Bo, but she was also at war within herself between the love that she had for Bo and her strong ethics and moral foundation. She was willing to make certain sacrifices so that he knew that she loved him.
With Jamila on board, Bo began to explain how they would carry out the robbery.
He explained that they were going to lure the man and his friend to a hotel room under the ruse of a party.
Bo would be waiting outside while Jamila kept the guys occupied in the hotel room.
Jamila would give him the signal, and then he would bust into the room with a gun.
He's like, just let me know when he's in the room. And when they're in the room, we're going to come up and we're going to tie them up.
But what Bo said next was even more chilling.
Bo mentioned that sometimes when you're doing those types of things, robbing people, you may have to get rid of them.
Bo had a violent temper and it could escalate real quickly. It was going to turn violent, from a robbery to assault or a robbery to murder.
He would say, everybody in the situation got to go. Basically, whoever we rob, they have to die.
September 2014. Boston detectives are hearing an unbelievable story from Alexis Smith, a friend of 19-year-old Jamila Tresvant.
Jamila was charged with unlawful possession of a firearm, but her friend believed she was taking the rap for her boyfriend.
Her boyfriend, Bo, was known for his gang ties, which is what had put the couple on the police's radar in the first place.
Alexis was hoping that if she could demonstrate Bo's manipulation over her friend, they might go easy on Jamila.
Alexis claims that this isn't the first time Bo has manipulated Jamila into doing his dirty work.
Bo had concocted a plot to rob a man that he had known, who he considered a rat.
I'm just thinking like, okay, so if we're going to rob this person, we're just going to go and we're going to rob them. And that's it. We're going to go on our way.
But Bo had other plans.
He would say, like, everybody in the situation got to go. And I was never that type of person.
She has morals, but she's also in love. And she's so torn with the fact that he's asking her to do these horrible things.
Jamila is feeling conflicted because she wants a life with this man, but she doesn't like what he does.
Ultimately, she was still willing to help him with the robbery, even though she knew what the outcome might be.
That's his lifestyle. That wasn't my lifestyle, but when I made that decision, I made it a part of my life.
The next night, Bo and Jamila put their plan into action after telling the victims to meet them at a local hotel for the party.
She went inside the hotel room with the guys while Bo waited outside for her signal.
The guys were immediately a bit suspicious that no one was there yet.
When the victims asked where Bo and the other partygoers were, Jamila tried to stall them.
She's hanging out with the men, telling them other people are coming, texting Bo the whole time.
But once the plan was in motion, everything started to become too real.
She knew Bo would potentially really hurt or potentially kill this young man.
Bo was labeled as dangerous. A lot of people were scared of him. I remember him telling me, like, Jamila, everybody's gotta go.
She starts to realize, like, what am I doing? She was leading this guy to his potential death because of, her undying love for Bo.
Jamila had to make a decision about whether she was going to lead this person into a trap or save his life. That's when her moral compass kicked in.
But at the end of the day, I did have a conscience. It was just too much. I chickened out right then and there, and I grabbed my phone.
Jamila texted Bo and told him the plan was off.
She decided to tell the guys that she was feeling sick and that they would have to have a rain check for the party.
The guys were obviously kind of confused and suspicious, but they left without ever knowing the actual danger they were in.
Bo was blowing up Jamila's phone, but she ignored the calls until the guys were out of the room.
When Jamila called Bo back, he was livid.
He was really disappointed in her, and he felt like she really wasn't his ride or die chick.
He told her he was going to leave her there, and she could find her own ride home.
That's when Jamila called Alexis to come pick her up.
She told Alexis everything that had happened.
She was devastated. She hated to disappoint Bo.
Alexis tells detectives she begged Jamila not to go back home to Bo.
She tried to get her to come home with her and stay there until they could figure something out.
Alexis thought it might be dangerous for Jamila to go home if Bo was angry.
But Jamila insisted on going back to her man.
She wanted to go back to him and make things right.
We were bonded by love, unbreakable, by loyalty. That's what he used to say to me all the time.
When Alexis dropped Jamila off at home, Bo was angrily waiting outside.
Bo expected Jamila to be his number one, to always follow his lead. But in this case, she failed to help him carry out his plan.
Alexis was terrified for her friend as Bo led her into the house, but she felt like her hands were tied.
She had tried so many times to get Jamila away from Bo, but Jamila just wouldn't listen.
Alexis says that was the last time she saw Jamila.
The next thing she knew, Jamila was behind bars on the gun charge.
The second she heard about it, she knew the guns must be Bo's, and this was just another scheme of his.
At this point, there was no doubt in anyone's mind who the gun belonged to. They knew Jamila was taking the fall for her man.
Detectives thank Alexis for her candor. And though it still doesn't provide definitive proof that the gun was Bo's, it does show a string of manipulative behavior.
Jamila was blinded by love and could not break Bo's power over her.
I would do anything to protect him, and he made me feel that way.
Armed with Alexis's statement, detectives feel they have just enough to get Jamila to recant her statement about the gun.
Police sat down with her and tried to, for lack of a better term, talk some sense into her.
Detectives lay it all on the table. They tell her everything that they learned from her friend Alexis, from the criminal acts that Bo tried to involve her in to the manipulation.
They said, we know who your boyfriend is and we know his rap sheet, but you're just saying that the gun is yours to protect him, and it's okay, we understand where your mindset was.
They remind Jamila that she still has a bright future ahead of her. She has a chance to change her statement and save herself.
They're giving you several opportunities to get out, and she would get away with just like a slap on the wrist.
They ask her one final time, whose gun is it that we found in your possession?
Unfortunately, detectives' efforts are in vain.
She insisted that the gun was hers.
Bo was clearly the voice in her head that stood out for her.
But soon, a shocking revelation will come to light. One that exposes the man Jamila just threw her life away for.
She told me, she's like, Bo has 2 babies on the way. I feel like I was young. I was young and I was dumb. I feel like I was in lust. Sometimes lust will make you do certain things. What I can say now is if anyone ever asks me, do I love Bo? No, I don't love him. Honestly, that's not my definition of love now. I have like a whole new outlook of how it looks. That's not what it is.
In the fall of 2014, 19-year-old Jamila Tresvant is awaiting sentencing after taking the fall for her man, 23-year-old gang member Bo Butler.
She was completely under Bo's spell and would do anything to prove her love to him.
She hid his gun for him, and once it was found by police, she said it was hers.
Massachusetts is among several states that have the most restrictive gun laws in the country.
Despite her friend Alexis Smith's statement demonstrating Bo's manipulation and influence over Jamila, police still have no proof the weapon is his.
Jamila consistently denied that the gun was Bo's, and she repeatedly stated that the gun was hers.
In September of 2014, Jamila's sentencing hearing gets underway.
Her entire family was there.
And she stood firm. You could look at her and she's looking at us like, I'm taking this for my man.
She stood there in the courtroom while they read the entire transcript of events, and her family had to witness and hear all of that.
The judge sentences Jamila to 22 months in prison. And at that point, reality hits her.
I cried right in the courtroom. I laid down and I cried.
She just started to sob and was completely embarrassed.
By protecting her man, she pretty much put a mark on her future that's going to stay with her for the rest of her life.
A few months into Jamila's sentence, she receives some shocking news about the man she just risked everything for.
A friend of hers called her to tell her what her man had been up to while she's serving time.
Bo slept with 2 different girls, and my friend told me, she's like, Bo has 2 babies on the way.
This, of course, was devastating to Jamila. She was completely and utterly committed to him and sacrificed her freedom.
So after all her sacrifices, after all she's done for him, proving that she loved him, proving that she's ride or die, Bo ends up having 2 other children with 2 other females.
In that moment, Jamila began to realize that this love that she felt was not reciprocated, and she felt like she was being played and was taken advantage of and used.
But the shock didn't stop there.
Bo was arrested for unlawful possession of a firearm a few months after she was incarcerated. So since Bo was already on probation, he was sentenced to a whopping 7 years.
He ended up still being in jail for the exact same charge, and essentially her sacrifice was for nothing.
You're trying to keep this guy out of jail, he goes anyways.
I was angry, and I just feel like it was just a waste because I could have stayed out.
Jamila was released from prison in November of 2016. Today, she looks back with regret on her decision to take the fall for her man.
I just made the dumbest mistake ever. If I could have went back, I would have never said that gun was mine. I just wish I didn't put myself in that situation.
It's sad that women feel like they have to forget themselves to keep a man.
I feel like I put him before me. My heart was too big. I didn't understand the consequences.
Jamila now knows Bo was never the right man for her and is looking forward to a future without him.
The experience was wild and crazy and scary and sad, but she was able to kick those habits and turn her life around. She doubled back to staying on track, trying to do what she needs to do for herself. She tries to be as choosy as she can on the guys that she dates nowadays.
I feel like I learned what real love is and what real love isn't. I learned to put myself first. Don't ever put anybody before you, especially not no man.
If you are in a healthy, supportive relationship, your partner will not ask you to do something that would put you in danger. And they certainly wouldn't ask you to do something that could lead to your arrest or potentially death or the harm of other people.
Jamila hopes that her story will inspire young women to listen to their inner voice and never compromise themselves for the sake of a relationship.
Women should sort of be reminded of that small voice is actually helping you.
Young women, the butterflies that you're feeling inside does not override the logic that you know to be true.
I'm glad that I can tell my story. Other girls to learn from it. Don't ever do it.
We trust our inner voice to guide us in the right direction. But sometimes the voice inside our heart can be louder than the voice inside our head. If you're not careful, you can find yourself choosing love over what's right and suffering unimaginable consequences. Love is fickle. It can run hot and cold. But when love dies, do you accept your fate or summon the gods to help you revive it? Some believe there are ways to bend love and other people to your will. You just have to know the right spell or potion. But just how far will you go to make love stay? April 24th, 2017. It's a quiet morning in Baker County, Georgia.
Baker County is a beautiful but rural area in Georgia. Lots of land, lots of open, wide spaces.
You see churches on every corner, it seems like. It's one of those places that you would say everybody knows everybody.
The day had started out like any other for 37-year-old Dora Klein.
It's a typical day for Dora. She's doing her housework, her chores.
But around 12:30 p.m., Dora notices something alarming.
She looks up and she notices there is smoke coming from her mother's house.
Dora drops everything and runs down the street to see if her 61-year-old mother, Helen Franklin, is okay.
She doesn't know if her mother's in the house or what could possibly be happening at that point.
By the time that Dora made it down the street to the house, it was already engulfed in flames. And the only person that she saw was a woman who went to her mother's church, 36-year-old Kimberly Gordon. Kimberly was just kind of in shock, it looked like.
Panicked, Dora asks Kimberly if she's seen her mother.
Kim, in a bit of a daze, says that she hadn't seen her, but her husband did go to get help.
That's when Dora heard a noise coming from the tree line behind her mother's property.
She hears this moaning sound, like this gasping.
She rushes toward that noise and finds her mother. She's soaked in blood, and it appears that she'd been stabbed multiple times.
She can barely breathe, and she is quickly losing consciousness.
After Dora finds her mother, she immediately calls 911. She's frantic.
She tells the dispatcher that they need help right away. And she explains that they're in a very rural area. So she's hoping that paramedics make it in time to save her mother's life.
But what really happened to Helen Franklin, and why? Investigators would soon learn that the answer lies with 36-year-old Kimberly Gordon. Single mother Kimberly Gordon had grown up in the neighboring town of Arlington, Georgia.
Kimberly was a small-town girl, but she had big-time dreams. She wanted to be a lawyer. She wanted to be a school teacher. She wanted to own a business. She had
outgoing person. She loves people. She would give you the shirt off her back if she could.
Regardless of Kimberly's vast interests, the one thing she cherished most was being a mother.
Kim was a loving and devoted mother. She really put her children first.
I have 2 siblings. We're kind of a small family, together, so we just kind of, stick together. We shop, we cook together, we cleaned up together, we walked to the parks together, listening to music. She was just such a nice person.
Kimberly also made sure religion was an integral part of her and her children's lives.
We stayed going to church every Sunday. We read Bibles together, scriptures, give at least 2-3 hours of our time to God each and every day. We try to make that the number one thing in our life.
In fact, Kimberly had a stronger religious conviction than most.
My mom was a spiritualist. She connected with ancestors. She connected with as they say, the African God.
African spiritual practices are often more evident in rural spaces for 2 reasons. One, rural spaces tend to be more attached to the natural environment. Roots, herbs, etc. Rural places are also tend to be more attached to oral traditions and oral histories.
She had candles, herbs, rose petals. For example, if you're gonna do a money ritual, you would probably green marbles, white candles, $100 bill.
As important as her family and her spirituality was to Kim, it was no surprise she had little time for romance.
She's really using her time to focus on her inner peace and her kids.
But in the summer of 2013, all that would change.
In August of 2013, Kim had met a man who she really felt like stood out from the rest. His real name is Lenoris, but people who love him and know him call him D.
29-year-old Lenoris D. Williams had reached out to Kimberly over social media, and their connection was palpable.
Lenoris was everything that she'd imagined, everything that she wanted her children to be exposed to.
Lenoris did share the same beliefs as Kim. Lenoris had a good job. Lenoris was making good money installing solar panels in the area.
He would buy gifts for them and really just make them all feel like a family. They even went to church services together.
After a brief courtship, Lenoris proposed, and an ecstatic Kimberly said yes.
Lenoris and Kimberly got married at the courthouse in Baker County, a small, intimate wedding in June of 2015.
Inside her new marriage, Kimberly blossomed.
She was in love, and she was with someone who took great care of her financially, where she was able to stay at home and take care of her children.
He'll pay all the bills, get her nails done, give her money to shop, take care of us. I was like, okay, maybe, she's finding the right one, someone that loves her for her.
But would the couple's honeymoon phase last? To lose the magic, it turned out Kimberly would do anything to get it back.
Kim went along with her husband's vendetta because she loved him so much.
She wanted this curse lifted and was willing to do whatever it took to do so.
Kimberly Gordon believed she'd finally found her soulmate in her new husband, Lenoris D. Williams.
In the very beginning, the relationship was the honeymoon state. Everything was perfect.
They really felt like it was meant to be between the two of them. She was love-struck.
But as the years passed, the couple's relationship became more and more strained.
Lenoris had lost his job, and that started marital issues for the couple.
You know, stuff started happening. He was a drinker.
And when Lenoris drank too much, he became violent.
The first time I ever seen him put his hands on my mom, I was like, okay, this is not what I want to go through.
But despite his out-of-control ways, Kim was still madly in love with Lenoris.
It had to be the way he came off on her, like, as a sweet, innocent, oh, I'm gonna spoil you, I wanna do this for you and your kids. I promise not to be like other men. And I'm guessing by her being hurt so much and being in so many relationships, she was like, okay, I'm really believing in him.
Kim became obsessed with getting Lenoris back to the man she loved and knew when they first met.
She was willing to do anything that it took to save their marriage.
But no one could have imagined just how far Kim would go. April 24th, 2017. Georgia investigators have just arrived at a shocking scene.
Law enforcement officials responded to the scene of the crime there in the southern part of Baker County. At that point, they saw that the residence was burning.
Local firefighters were able to bring the blaze under control.
Dora Klein, the woman who called 911, tells first responders that her mother, Helen Franklin, is already en route to the hospital.
Because they live in a rural area, she wasn't sure when the paramedics would arrive. So her stepfather drove Helen to the hospital himself.
Dora explains that when she first arrived on the scene, her mother's friend from church, Kimberly Gordon, was standing outside.
Kim seems off balance, like something's just not right with her, and it makes Dora kind of uneasy herself.
After Dora found her mother, her stepfather, Eugene Franklin, and Kim Gordon's husband, Lenoris D. Williams, came running up from the fields. But when Dora saw Lenoris, she immediately felt like something was off.
Dora said that Lenoris had blood all over his shirt.
And that's not all that made her suspicious.
Lenoris and Kim took off on foot. Dora wanted them to stay and tell the police everything they knew. But they were like, we are out of here.
Investigators are just as suspicious of Kim and Lenoris's behavior as Dora.
We knew we had something to go on. A bolo was placed in an effort to try to locate Kim and Lenoris.
Investigators also contact the hospital to check in on Helen. According to doctors, it's a miracle the 61-year-old is still alive.
She had been stabbed about the head, neck, shoulders. She suffered 3 strokes while in the hospital.
Investigators hope doctors can save Helen so that she can tell them firsthand what happened to her.
We just want to make sure that she was going to survive.
It's then that investigators get word from the station that Eugene Franklin has just arrived, so they immediately head out to speak with him. When investigators sit down with Eugene, he is clearly distraught.
Eugene was very upset with what happened to Helen.
He was just overcome with grief. He was just so worried and fearful that Helen would not make it.
Eugene tells investigators he had been working the fields around 11:30 that morning when he noticed smoke billowing in the distance. Seconds later, he saw Lenoris running towards him.
Lenoris ran up to him as he was working, saying that he saw a man running from Helen's house, and the house has been set on fire.
He also noted that Lenoris did appear to have blood on his clothes.
Panicked, Eugene sprinted over to Helen's house with Lenoris trailing behind him.
He rushes to her aid, trying to see what's going on. When he arrives there, and he sees that Helen is in critical condition, he immediately decides to transport her himself to the hospital.
That's when Eugene drops a bombshell on investigators.
He told them that for a brief moment, Helen came to while she was in the car.
Eugene asks Helen, "Who did this to you?" And Helen replies, "Kim and Dee."
Dee was a nickname that was often used for Lenoris.
At this point, police were sure that Kim and Lenoris had way more to do with this than they originally led on to Dora and Eugene. Now they just need to find them, so the manhunt is on.
And it doesn't take long for police to find the couple in a very strange place.
They're in the cemetery, just strolling together.
They were conjuring up some type of spirit to help them.
My mom, she was a loyal, faithful wife, tried to keep her man happy, keep herself happy, her children. She was a person that fall in love easily also. That was every relationship. I would say a fool in love. I hate to put it that way because it's my mom, but I would say a fool in love.
April 24th, 2017. Investigators in Augusta, Georgia are on the lookout for Kimberly Gordon and Lenoris D. Williams for their connection to the brutal attack of 61-year-old Helen Franklin.
The doctors indicated some 27 stab wounds.
At this point, the search is on. So an all-county police force is actively looking for Kim and Lenoris.
Later that afternoon, investigators are in luck.
They spotted a man and a woman walking through a local cemetery.
They are just strolling together like nothing's happened.
The couple matched the description of Kim and Lenoris, so police are sure that they found their suspects.
The dirt of the graveyard is filled with so many spirits. That is the belief. Possibly they were conjuring up some type of spirit to help them.
Police tell Lenoris and Kim they're under arrest. And at first, the couple goes peacefully, but not for long.
On the way back to the police car, Lenoris begins to get very agitated.
He became disruptive, violent. It became a wrestling match almost for the cops to get him inside the car.
After the two suspects are processed, investigators sit down with Lenoris first to discuss the events of that morning. Despite putting up a fight during his arrest, Lenoris says he is now ready to cooperate.
Lenoris says he wasn't trying to kill Miss Helen. He was actually trying to save her.
I ain't never been no trouble. We ain't do nothing to this woman. We try to help this woman.
Lenoris reported to authorities that he and his wife Kim had been going to visit Helen pretty frequently, seeking spiritual counseling and guidance about their marriage and to better their lives.
Helen was a well-known evangelist in her community, and she actually pastored a church with a small congregation.
My mom felt that Helen was stronger than her with spirits and with God or ancestors.
You know anything about that? Roots?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
You put out? That what happened to me and my wife. Somebody messed us up.
He had the belief that somebody had enacted a spell or conjured some bad energy and placed it upon him.
When people put roots on someone, they are taking a personal object that belongs to that person. Sometimes it can be a string of hair, their fingernails, or any of that, and they are taking it to someone to perform a ritual, a spell. And usually when they do that, it is to bind that person to them emotionally, spiritually, physically.
Lenoris explains that he had just broken up with another woman when he started his relationship with Kim, and the ex had never forgiven him for it.
Lenoris was actually convinced that his ex-girlfriend placed roots on he and Kim's relationship and was causing them all this trouble. Because Helen was so well respected for her spiritual work, that made Kim and Lenoris really feel like she could help them remove the curse that the ex-girlfriend put on them.
Lenoris explains that earlier that day, around 11:30 a.m., he and Kim arrived at Helen's house for one of their usual sessions.
Lenoris said when they got there, there was another car parked outside of Helen's house, and it was a blue sedan. They waited for a moment, and then they saw a man leave the house quickly in that blue car.
It's a black one, a single black one in a blue car.
Just a moment later, they saw smoke and flames coming from the house.
Lenoris tells investigators he was immediately concerned for Helen's safety.
You seen smoke, you know, and I went in the house. You know, I'm trying to see, was she okay? But it was so smoked up in there.
He said he could not find her. The house was rapidly filling up with smoke, making it very difficult for him to see and even breathe.
Lenoris explains that when he couldn't find Helen inside the home, he ran to find Eugene Franklin, who he knew would be working on the property.
I started trying to help this woman, trying to see what she was. Okay. We did not, I'm telling you, we didn't have nothing to do with this.
That's when investigators noticed some suspicious wounds on Lenoris's hands.
How did you cut your hands?
I told you, in there, glass. I didn't glass.
Okay, what glass?
She got one was in her place.
When I interviewed Lenoris claimed that the wounds to his hands were sustained from busting the glass of Helen's residence in an attempt to help locate Helen.
Investigators aren't buying it.
Will you open up your hands for me? Lenoris had a wound to his hand consistent with a slippage wound. If you stab somebody, a knife gets bloody. It's hard to hold on to, and the knife will slide down your hand and cause wounds to your hand. One other thing that you hadn't answered for.
Okay.
How did gas get on your clothes?
It was some gas in there. She had ammonia too. I rented it. With all this going on, I didn't want her to pay no attention. You see what I'm saying? And I ran the gas just spilled on me.
So Lenoris claiming that the gasoline was inside Helen's house just didn't fit. But it didn't make sense as to why Lenoris would have gasoline on his lower extremities if he had nothing to do with starting the fire. Now's your time to tell the truth and to speak your side of the story.
I didn't do it. I'm telling you, we didn't do that.
Lenoris.
Lenoris stuck to his story. He points the finger at a mystery man that was leaving the house when they arrived.
The detectives are not buying this. If some guy in a blue car did this, then why did Helen say that Kim and Dee did this?
Investigators are eager to speak with Kimberly.
They want to see if Lenoris and Kim's stories line up.
But Kim's interrogation will take police in an entirely new direction.
She said that, yeah, she was saying that you just wait, you just watch what happens to you.
April 24th, 2017. After a brutal attack on 61-year-old spiritual advisor Helen Franklin, Georgia investigators have 2 suspects in custody.
The primary suspects in the attempted murder case are Kimberly Gordon and Lenoris Williams.
Helen is in a hospital in Alabama fighting for her life, and she's unable to tell her side of the story.
In their interview with Lenoris, he told police this was all a big misunderstanding.
Lenoris gave an account to the authorities that he rushed into the house to try to save Helen.
But investigators aren't buying Lenoris' story.
Helen had named Kim and Lenoris as the two who did this to her.
Now, they sit down with Kimberly Gordon to get her version of the morning's events.
We have a seat right there for me.
How you doing?
Cold.
Cold? Well, you won't be cold too long here because it gets hot here.
When I finally saw her in the interview, she was real short with me. She didn't really want to speak to me. She was kind of borderline rude to me.
I really don't know what happened. I just seen the house, just on fire, and then I just jumped out my truck to help.
She said she was in a daze when she got out of the car, and she tried to call 911, but her phone was dead.
I wasn't in the house.
You sure about that?
I'm positive. I wasn't in no house.
At that point, Kim shuts the entire interview down.
Okay, so you don't want to talk to me anymore. I'm just trying to clarify.
That's all I got to say.
With Kim no longer cooperating, GBI agents obtain a warrant to search her purse.
Here is a copy of the search warrant I obtained for your Michael Kors purse. That is your copy to keep.
Inside and outside the purse, investigators find a wealth of evidence.
They noticed what appeared to be blood on the zipper.
It was determined to be the victims in this particular case.
When we searched Kimberly's purse, we found a Dollar General receipt where a knife was purchased.
And that's not all.
Inside Kimberly's purse was a notebook where she had multiple writings about Helen.
They are talking about hurting Helen, how evil she is, the wrong she's done to them. It's pretty scary and it's quite threatening.
But what had Helen actually done to make the couple so angry?
It was kind of more of a rambling rant, words that just didn't make sense, sentences that didn't make sense.
Considering the incriminating items in Kim's purse, they speak with her again in hopes that she'll give them the whole truth.
When confronted with the new evidence, Kim breaks down.
I can't deal with it. I can't deal with this. I can't. Mm-mm.
I'm gonna take a lot of notes, okay?
Okay.
Kim confirms Lenoris' claim that the couple started seeing Helen to help them with their marital problems, and that they believed the problems were a result of dark roots put on them by Lenoris' ex.
Me and her had the words on the phone way back, the girl. And she was saying
this is the one that put them on Lenoris?
Yeah, she said that, she was saying that you just wait, you just watch what happened to you. And if you have sexual contact with him, then it transfers. And it's the truth because it's been time when I've been sexually active with him, my energy, it drains me and I just sleep.
Kim said that she was seeking Helen's help because they really wanted to get these hexes off of them.
And Kim was willing to pay whatever she had to make that happen.
I gave her like $4,000.
You have $4,000 in a chunk at one time or over a period of time?
I gave her $4,000 in a chunk.
Wow.
But despite the sessions with Helen, things between the couple didn't improve.
Lenoris was pretty fed up with Helen. He felt like she was ripping them off.
They were spending so much time and so much money, and he felt like it's not doing any good.
I think that's when he started to like open his eyes and realize like okay, this lady ain't helping us. She making our marriage worse.
Lenoris started to believe that maybe Helen had put a root on them herself and was working against them.
Kimberly Gordon is telling Georgia investigators about the events leading up to the brutal attack of 61-year-old Helen Franklin.
She was stabbed more than 24 times.
According to Kim, her husband, Lenoris D. Williams, became angry with Helen because Helen's expensive spiritual healing sessions weren't fixing their marriage.
You think she's a good person, but she's not a good person. He's always getting mad. He's like, you always running out there to take her money.
The morning of the attempted murder, Kim says Lenoris woke her up and asked her for money so he could go to the store.
He woke me up and he asked me, he said, do you got $3 or $4? I said, what you need is don't worry about that. I'm just tired of it fucking with me. And he like, I'm gonna get that.
Kim says she figured her husband was just making empty threats, so she went back to sleep. Until Lenoris returned from the store an hour later.
Lenoris came home, gave her the receipt from the dollar store, and then asked her to go with him to Helen's house.
He woke me and said, you feel like taking me? I said, no. I said, I can't drive because I still got this stuff just on bread drink. He said, well, he said, get up, put some clothes on, ride me. I'm tired of this bullshit.
Kim says that despite her better judgment, she decided to go with Lenoris to Helen's house. But things only got worse from there.
Kim says that when they arrived to the house, Lenoris barged in and insisted Helen fix his life. When Helen explains that it'll be another $350, that's when Lenoris lost it.
This made him furious. He was yelling, he was out of control, he was flipping furniture.
Flip the chair. I was telling him to stop. I guess it's the anger got him to where he just couldn't take it no more.
Lenoris then pulled out the dollar store paring knife and stabbed Helen over and over while Kim watched in fear.
Kim was yelling for him to stop. She was begging and pleading, but he didn't hear her.
And the fear that was in me, I scared of those people reminding me of why he used to do things to me.
Mr. Williams then poured gasoline all over the house. There was some candles that were in the residence, and that was used with the gas, obviously, to burn up the house pretty quickly.
Then what did y'all do?
He grabbed me and he told me if I say anything, same thing will happen to me.
The detectives now believe they have motive, but Kim is still trying to downplay her involvement in the attempted murder.
Miss Gordon had injuries to her right hand that would indicate that she was part of doing the stabbing.
But Kim says she has an explanation.
Kim contends that when they left by foot, she cut her hand on barbed wire.
That don't really look like a barbed wire fence cut.
It could cross it because I started crying. It could cross it.
Just like Lenoris, I began to describe those as slippage wounds to Kim. Kim did not understand what a slippage wound was, so I took my pen out of my pocket and demonstrated holding a knife. And I explained to Kim that knives will often slip. Your hand will slip off the handle and the blade will cut you. Kim didn't believe me. Kim grabbed my pen from me, and while she was holding my pen, the pen laid perfectly over the cut in her hand.
See?
Oh, hold that pen again. Hold that pen again. Hold that in your hand.
You told me to hold it, so.
Let me look. Boom. Same angle. Let me take a picture of that.
I'm not letting you take a picture of this.
Kim wouldn't let me take a picture because you could see a look of shock in her eyes that she realized she had done something that she shouldn't have done.
With Kim's statement in tow, investigators decide to go back and speak to Lenoris a second time.
The detectives play an audio of Kim's confession to Lenoris, and he becomes livid that she's trying to pin this all on him.
I'm not going to sit and take the blame for something,
So tell us what happened.
Lenoris flips the script and blames the entire attack on Kim.
I was for it. Okay. How were you for it?
She was like, you don't do this, the time is up. Then I'm gonna leave you.
Lenoris explained that Kim ordered him to go to the dollar store and get the knife.
It's in my mind, I didn't want to do it. It was just my wife, you know, I didn't have nowhere else.
Lenoris said that when they went inside the house, that Kim began stabbing Helen. He further professed that he tried to stand in between the two ladies.
Lenoris admits that after Helen was incapacitated, he panicked and helped Kim set the house ablaze.
Yeah, I did that. I did that part.
Did you use a lighter to start it, or did you use that candle?
It was a candle.
He didn't want to admit being the one that stabbed Miss Franklin, but he put himself there. He admitted that he, was involved in the arson stuff.
Lenoris and Kim had turned on each other, essentially. They're pointing the fingers at each other.
But who's telling the truth?
It doesn't matter how many spells, potions, roots, or anything that they have. At the end of the day, it's going to be the evidence that leads investigators to the truth.
Finally, police receive word that Helen Franklin is stable enough to speak and will tell them exactly what really happened the morning she was attacked.
Helen was absolutely terrified.
She said he had a really demonic look in his eyes.
May 2017. Kimberly Gordon and Lenoris Williams have been arrested for their connection to a brutal knife attack on 61-year-old Helen Franklin.
Kim is pointing the finger at Lenoris, and Lenoris is pointing the finger at Kim.
Lenoris said that he went along with the plot in fear of Kimberly's violent nature, and Kim says that Lenoris was plotting the murder all along, and she went along with it out of fear, loyalty, and love for her man.
On May 8th, authorities head to the hospital to speak with Helen, hoping she will be able to provide some clarity on the case.
In my opinion, it is a sheer miracle that Helen was able to survive the incident.
It really speaks a lot to her drive and determination to live.
Helen confirms that she had been meeting with the couple to help improve their marriage.
Fast forward to April 24th, apparently nothing had changed. So they wanted their money back.
According to Helen, they barged in and they were very aggressive toward her. Lenoris insisted that she owed them money for messing up their life.
The couple accused Helen of putting her own hex on them.
She insisted that she did not put any curse or hex on their life, but Lenoris did not believe her.
She said he had a really demonic look in his eyes.
That's when the couple attacked, together.
While Lenoris held her by the throat, he and Kim both stabbed her repeatedly.
After several agonizing seconds, Lenoris released her.
When she hit the ground, she struggled to crawl underneath a desk.
So after Lenoris and Kim assaulted Helen, the area was doused in gasoline and set on fire.
She recalled Kim and Lenoris running out of the house, and she used her last bit of strength to crawl from the home.
Though Helen's home burned, one item survived the blaze. Her Bible.
There was a Bible on the desk right there, and I recall looking at the Bible, and there was a passage there, and I believe it said something to the effect, "I will not be defeated," and she was a survivor. She had not been defeated.
With Helen's statement in tow, investigators charged the couple with aggravated assault, arson in the first degree, and criminal attempt to commit murder.
I think it's pretty clear that both Miss Gordon and Mr. Williams had the wherewithal to commit this crime. They wanted the curse lifted, and certainly for Miss Gordon, she wanted her husband to be happy, and both of them were going to do whatever it took to make sure that that happened, including murder.
In January of 2020, nearly 3 years after the crime, Helen Franklin's attackers plead guilty in order to avoid trial.
We agreed not to prosecute the criminal attempt to commit murder in exchange for a plea of guilty to arson and aggravated assault. I think that each of them understood that their back was against the wall and the likelihood of a conviction in the case was very strong.
Kimberly and Lenoris are both sentenced to 40 years behind bars.
Once Kimberly was sentenced, Jemiah had an outburst and stormed out of the room where the plea was taking place.
I'm crying, my uncle's crying, my grandma. Where mama? Where mama? I want my mama, I want my mama. And it's just like, I don't know how to explain to them what's going on.
Regardless of who is believed to be the true mastermind behind this crime, one thing's for certain. Kimberly's obsession with Lenoris caused her to go to the darkest of places, all in the name of love.
Kimberly was willing to do anything to save her man and to save her marriage. Unfortunately, this is the price she has to pay.
No amount of rituals, no amount of spirituals is going to save something that's not meant to be.
When a woman is in love and she will do anything to keep that love, she's willing to go through any extreme. Kim clearly believed she was deeply in love with Lenoris, and she probably now realizes that she needed to love herself more than she loved that man.
When it comes to love, some people won't settle for anything less